Good morning, students. Welcome back to History Lecture. Today we are going to start with the chapter number 6, beginning of freedom movement. Chapter number 5 we are going to omit for the exam, so I am not going to teach that chapter. We will do the small revision of the chapter number 5 so you will understand how the social and religious reform movement happened in India. The social and religious reform that took place at various places by different reformists to awaken the minds of the people. In order to make India modernize, the people needed to stop the unfair practices such as child marriage, sati, idol worship, casteism, etc. For this, social reformists started many institutions to change the outlook of the society and make people educate and rational. When the Indian students they started taking Western education, that time they come to know about the Western countries, how they have become moderate, and why our India is behind because of all those unfair practices were going on, and that is why the educated students they have done the social and religious reforms in India. They spread their message through newspapers by establishing various schools and colleges and involving themselves in various social activities to bring a change in a society. According to the social reformist, a new society should be based on humanity, equality, and fraternity. Before that, our society was based on caste system or the rituals. But they wanted to establish a new society which will based on humanity, that all are human beings, equality, all are equal, and the fraternity means freedom, which could be established when the backwardness of Indian would be uprooted. When the whatever backwardness is there that we are going to uproot, then only we can establish the new society. Also, this chapter highlights the various samaj like Arya Samaj, Ramakrishna Mission, then Satyasudhak Samaj, Pratna Samaj, etc. So they conduct the reforms to eradicate the bad practices or the bad way of mindset of Indians and accept a new thoughts, philosophy, ideas to be a par with the Western culture and thoughts. And that is all about the social and religious reform movement. Though this lesson is not going to come for an exam, it is very important to know the social and religious reform movements in India, and that is why I have done the short summary of this lesson. Now, today we are going to move to the chapter number 6, that is the beginning of freedom movement. See, after awakening, the people come to know that they also want the freedom, and that is why they begin the freedom movement. There was a beginning of a freedom movement. In this chapter, it showcases the mixed effects in the Indian society brought by the English education. So the educated Indians, they formed the organization, carried out the movements and made people politically aware about the Swaraj. This chapter also highlights the feeling of nationalism that grew in different parts of India. It narrates the effects of Western education, study of ancient history by the Indians, and the beginning of social reformation. It throws lights on the establishment of Indian National Congress, its objectives, foundation, members' activities undertaken, and the problem faced. It includes the activities that took place in the moderate and the extremist phase. It describes the failure of partition of Bengal and establishment of Muslim League. It listed the 4-point program of Indian National Congress and recent differences between the moderate and the extremists. So all those things we are going to study in this chapter. So let's begin with our chapter. English education made mixed effect on the Indian society. The seeds of nationalism were sown by the reforms of newly educated society. So because of the English education, it made effect on the Indian society. The seeds of nationalism were sown through the reforms of the newly educated Indians. Due to various movements in different parts of India, a favorable situation was created to build a political organization on an all India level which bring together the various provincial political organization, different groups of politically aware people, and to express the aspiration means hope of the nation by diverting the public attention towards the question of the nation. As we all have seen there were various reform movements were going on in India, and because of that it was a favorable situation for all the India to bring together all the political organization, diverting the public attention towards the question of the nation. Now let's move to the next, the centralization of the administration, British rule. Due to the British administration, its implementation on India brought the nation under one roof in its true sense. See, because of the British administration and different policies were implemented, it brought India under one roof in a true sense. And because of the British administration, all Indian people they came together under one roof. Due to the identical reforms all over the country and the equality before law, the feeling of nationalism developed among the people. Why the feeling of nationalism developed among the people? Because of the identical reform. Identical means the same or the similar reform. Then equality before law. What they were thinking, that we all are equal before the law. And because of this, the feeling of nationalism developed among the people. For the convenience of administration and swift movement of the army, the British built network of roads and railway. As we all know, so for the convenience of the administration and for the swift movement. Why swift movement? Because if anywhere in India, if the movement happen, then they can do the swift movement and they can crush the movement, because they have experience of freedom struggle of 1857. Okay, so that is why they have built the roads and the railway, so they can move swiftly from one place to another, and that is why they built the network of roads and railway. But this facilities benefited the Indians as well, but these facilities were given to the Indian also. People from different parts of India came in contact with each other. There was an increase in communication and the feeling of nationalism grew up. And because of those facilities which were given by the Britishers, and because of that, people from different parts of India, they came together, they came in contact with each other, and there was an increase in the communication and the feeling of nationalism among the Indians. Now next one we are going to see the economic exploitation. The Indian wealth was flowing towards England by all means. As we all know, the Indian wealth was flowing towards the England. It was taken towards the England by all the means. Due to the imperialist policy of England, imperialist means Samrajyavad, in Hindi we called it as. So because of the imperialist policy of England, there was a beginning of economic exploitation of India. Farmers were compelled means forced. Okay, farmers were forced to take cash crops, burden of land taxes, continuous famine. All this broke down the backbone of Indian agriculture. As the Britishers were forcing the Indian farmers to grow the cash crops means we can say an agriculture crop which is grown to sell for profit. Okay, which is not used for eating purpose. Okay, it is used for the selling purpose, and that is called as a cash crops like Neil, indigo, tobacco, etc. So there was a famine. Then also the Britishers were forced to plant or to grow the cash crops and to give the land taxes. So because of the famine, because of the land taxes, it broke down the Indian agriculture, backbone of Indian agriculture. Even the traditional industries declined, which led to the unemployment. Okay, because even the traditional industries were there, those industries were declined only, that those industries were destroyed. Why? Because the Britishers, they were bringing the goods from the England and they were selling those goods in a very low price compared to the Indian goods, and that is why the people used to purchase the British goods. And because of that, slowly the traditional industries of India's were closed down. Even they have to pay the tax also. And because of that, those industries were declined, those industries were destroyed, or those industries were closed down. The capitalists exploited the worker class. Various new taxes were imposed on the middle class. This led to growth of discontent among the people. Capitalist means we can say that the one who is having the money or the businessmen. They used to exploit the worker class. New taxes were imposed on the middle class, and day by day they were introducing the new taxes on the middle class, and that is why there was a dissatisfaction grew among the people. Now we are going to study about the Western education. Due to the spread of Western education, new ideas such as justice, liberty, equality, democracy, etc. were introduced to the Indians. So, because of the spread of the Western education in India, the new ideas such as justice, okay, then liberty means freedom, equality, we all are equal before the law, democracy means government is elected by the people, that is called as a democracy, okay, lokatantra, etc. were introduced to the Indians. And why it happened? Because of the spread of the Western education, new ideas were spread in India. Rationalism, scientific attitude, humanity, nationalism, these principles were accepted by the Indians. And also because of the Western education, Indians accepted the following principles like rationalism. Rationalism means belief should be based on the opinion or action rather than the religious belief. Then the scientific attitude. We should have a scientific attitude. We should not accept anything like that. We have to do the research. That is called as a scientific attitude. Humanity means we all are human beings. Nationalism. Nationalism, a feeling of a love or a pride for own country. Okay, so this principle were accepted by the Indians. And they also come to know that we are capable to carry out the work of our country. We don't require anyone's help. We can do the progress of our country by following this principle. And all those things happen because of the spread of Western education in India. As we all know, India is a country of a diverse language, means different languages. But with the introduction of the English education or English language, India got a new medium of communication. With the help of English, they started communicating with each other. See, in India we have a different languages like, for example, Marathi, Hindi, Tamil, Gujarati. People those who are belonging to the other state, they don't know these languages. So because of the Western education, because of the English language, the people started communicating with each other through English language, which was introduced by the Britishers to Indians. And how they introduced this English language? By establishing the schools and colleges, and by giving the education in English language, they introduced the English language to the Indians. Now next topic is study of ancient Indian history. The Asiatic Society was established at Bengal by the British. Many Indian and Western scholars started study of Indian cultures. The manuscripts in Sanskrit, Persian and other languages were examined and research was published. So now the Indian people, they understand along with the Western education we should study about our Indian culture also. As there are many foreigners, they are coming in India and they are studying about Indian cultures, and we are living in India and we should also do the study of Indian culture, and that is why they also started studying about the ancient Indian history. The Asiatic Society was established at Bengal by the British. Many Indians and the Western scholars, they started study the Indian culture. Even the manuscript was written in a Sanskrit, Persian and other languages. They examined those manuscripts and the research was published on those manuscripts. Dr. Bhau Daji Lad, you can see the picture on the screen and also in your textbook, page number 25. Dr. Bhau Daji Lad and Dr. R.G. Bhandarkar, these Indian scholars made intensive study of ancient Indian culture. If the question is going to come, who did the intensive or who made intensive study of ancient Indian culture, then what is the answer? Dr. Bhau Daji Lad and Dr. R.G. Bhandarkar. So they have done the intensive study of the ancient Indian culture. After understanding that we are blessed with the glorious ancient tradition, the Indians were awakened with a sense of identity. And because of that, they started the institute, Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute. That institute is working since last 100 years in Pune. So when Indian people, they understand that we are having a glorious culture or we are having a glorious tradition, that time the feeling of their sense of identity awakened among them, and they have also started studying about the Indian culture, and because of that they have established the Bhandakar Oriental Research Institute, which is working since last 100 years in Pune. Now we are going to see the contribution of newspaper. Now we are going to talk about the contribution of newspaper and many other incidents. Because of that, our freedom movement has become very strong. So, during that time, the newspaper were published in English and vernacular languages. Now, what is vernacular? Vernacular means like a Hindi, Marathi. So, these are the vernacular language. And the periodicals came to be published. Periodical means like a magazine. So, through these newspapers, the political and social awakening took place. So, through these newspapers, our leaders, they were using the medium of newspaper to awaken the people. They were telling the people about the political and the social condition of our country. And through that, they were awakening the people. They were inspiring the people. Newspaper like Darpan, Prabhakar, Hindu, Amrit Bazar Patrika, Kesri, Maratha started criticizing the government. So by looking at the picture, you will come to know that Kesri is in Marathi language and Maratha it is in English language. So through this newspapers like Darpan, Prabhakar, Hindu, Amrit Bazar Patrika, Kesri, Maratha. Now next we are going to study the establishment of Indian National Congress. On 20th December 1885, the first session of Indian National Congress was held at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School in Mumbai. So, when the first session of Indian National Congress was held in the year 1885 and on 20th December. And where it is held? Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School in Mumbai. Session means we can call it as a small meeting. 72 delegates from different provinces. Delegates means a member of the committee. That is called as a delegates. So 72 delegates from different provinces of India participated in this session. Now why they have used the provinces? Because before that we were not having the states. Before that we were having the provinces. So before independence we were having the provinces, we were not having the states. So that is why they have used the word provinces. So the 72 members from different provinces of India participated in this session. Vomesh Chandra Banerjee, a renowned lawyer from Kolkata, was the president of this session. Now who is the president of this session? This is very important question. Who is the president of Indian National Congress? So Vomesh Chandra Banerjee is a president of first session of Indian National Congress. In this session, they established the Indian National Congress. And when this session was held, that time they established the Indian National Congress. Allen Octavian Hume, a British officer, took lead in the establishment of Indian National Congress. Now who took the lead to establish the Indian National Congress? Allen Octavian Hume, a British officer, he took the lead to establish the Indian National Congress. Increased proportion of Indians in the administration. So in that session, they decided that the Britishers should increase the proportion of Indian people in the administration. Reduction of military expenses by the British government. So British government, they were using the money in the military expenses. So they were telling the people, those who have gathered over here for this session, they said that the Britishers, they should reduce the military expenses, and such statements were sent to the British. So what they have decided in the session, that more proportion or increase the proportion of Indians in the administration, and the Britishers, they should reduce the expense in the military. So again we are going to see this. So on 28 December 1885, the first session of Indian National Congress was held at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School in Mumbai. And in that session, 72 members from different provinces were present. And who was the president of the session? Vomesh Chandra Banerjee. You can see the picture of Vomesh Chandra Banerjee on the screen also, and in your textbook, page number 26. Then in this session, the British officer Allen Actovin Hume, he took the lead and he established the Indian National Congress. And in that session, they have discussed about the increased proportion of Indian in administration and reduction of military expense by the British, and such statements were sent to the British. Now we have seen that the Indian National Congress was established. Now what are the objective of this Indian National Congress? That study now. To make the people from different parts of the India forget the difference in religion, race, caste, language, geographical territories, and bring them on a common platform to understand each other's problem and views. That was the first objective. What is the first objective? They want to make people from different parts of India to forget about their language, about their religion, about their caste, about their geographical boundaries, and they should come together and they should share common platform to understand each other problems and views. So that was the first objective of Indian National Congress, that all the people from all over the country, they should come under one common platform and they should share their problems and views. And when they are coming together, they should forget about the differences in a religion, race, caste, language, and geographical territories. Now that is the first objective. Now let's move to the second one. To increase the feeling of oneness among the people. Means they want to increase the feeling of oneness. Oneness means we all are one. And that was the second objective of Indian National Congress. When all people are going to think that we all are one, then definitely they are going to support each other. Then the third objective is to take efforts for the development of a country were the objective of Indian National Congress. And what is the third objective? That they are going to take the efforts for the development of a country. And when the third objective will be successful, when the second objective is going to become a successful, then only the third objective is going to become a successful. What is the second objective? The feeling of oneness among the people, that we all are one. And if this feeling is inbuilt in the people, then they are definitely going to take efforts for the development of a country. I hope you all understand. Again, we will revise the three objectives. The first one is to make the people from different parts of the country to forget about their difference in religion, race, caste, language, and geographical territories and bring them under a common platform. Second one is to increase the feeling of oneness among the people. And the third one is to take the efforts for the development of the country. So these are the three objectives of Indian National Congress. I hope everyone understood. Next we will continue in the next lecture.